Okay, let's take a look at exercise 4-10. A super sales company is the exclusive distributor for a high-quality knapsack. The product sells for $60 per unit, has a contribution margin ratio of 40%, fixed expenses are $360,000 per year, and the company plans to sell 17,000 knapsacks this year. First of all, what are the variable expenses per unit? So we're given the sales per unit, and we're given a contribution margin ratio, and we need to work out variable expenses per unit. So if the contribution margin ratio is 40%, that means the total of the contribution margin ratio and the variable expenses then is going to be a total of 100. So if it's 40% for contribution margin, it's 60% variable expenses. So $60 times 60% is $36. And then part 2. First, we have to determine what is the break-even point in units and in dollars. Okay, so we need the contribution margin. So selling price 60, variable expenses 36, contribution margin of 24. Or in percentage-wise, selling price, well, it's always going to be 100%. Variable expenses are 60% of the selling price, and contribution margin is 40% of the selling price. So we can do it one of two ways. Unit sales break even. So the number of unit sales needed to break even, fixed expenses divided by unit contribution margin. Fixed expenses were given at $360,000 divided by the unit contribution margin of 24, so they need to sell 15,000 units. Then in dollars, so we know it's 15,000 units, and we know they sell them at $60 per unit, which means their sales needs to be 900,000. Or we can do it the other backwards, the opposite way. We can work out how much dollar sales are needed to break even, which is fixed expenses divided by the contribution margin ratio, the 40%. So the 360 divided by 0.4, we get the dollar amount of sales, 900,000. And we know that each unit is sold for 60, so we divide the 900,000 divided by the 60 to find out that we need to sell 15,000 units. Part B. What sales level in units and in sales dollars is required to earn an annual profit of 90,000? So that would be the target profit plus, if you look here, so it's your fixed expenses plus your target profit over the unit contribution margin. So the target profit was 90, fixed expenses were 360. Each unit you sell is contributing $24. So then therefore you divide by 24, and then the total number of units you would need to sell, 18,500. And again, the number of units times the dollar in sales per unit would give us how much sales we need to get this $90,000 profit. Or, again, we can do it like above, and we can work out the dollar sales first. So again, it's the same thing on top, target profit plus your fixed expenses, but now you're going to divide by the contribution margin ratio of 0.4. You're going to get the amount of sales first, and then you're going to divide the sales by how much each one is sold for, $60, to find out the total number of units. Part C. What sales level in units, sorry, I'm just checking, I think. Oh, I'm going to make sure that was still going. What sales level in units is required to earn annual after-tax profits of 90,000 if the tax rate is 25%? So it's the same idea, fixed expenses plus your target profit over the contribution margin, but you have to take into account your tax here. So it's your after-tax profit that you're hoping to get divided by 1 minus the tax rate, and then this rest of here is the same. So 360 fixed expenses, target profit after tax was 90,000, 25% tax rate. So 1 minus 0.25. Contribution margin per unit was 24, so you need to sell 20,000 units. And part D, although that through negotiation with the manufacturer, they were able to reduce variable expenses by $3 per unit. What's the new break even in unit sales and in unit sales and in dollar sales? So, if you're reducing your variable expenses, that means you're increasing your contribution margin. Fixed expenses stayed the same, but now you're just going to divide by the $27 per unit because it went from 24 to 27 to get the number of units. That's the unit one, and then you need to multiply those units by the sales price for each unit, $60, to get the total sales. Or you can get the sales first by dividing by the contribution margin ratio, and then you can divide the sales, total sales, by the amount per unit sale to get the number of units that you need to sell. Okay, that is it for that question.